Welcome to MVP News, where we get real about football. And now to your hosts, Mike Pagano and Paul Helmers.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to MVP News. We got Sunday in the bag, one game left for week 3. Let's go ahead and dive into talking about these games. What's going on, Paul?
Oh, just ready to talk about. I got tons of good things to say about this Patriots game.
Man, the Patriots game is the freshest up, so let's go ahead and dive right into it. It's the weekly wrap-up, so not a lot of the little talk today. We're going to go into it because we got a bunch of games to cover. Detroit came out and whooped some butt, and let's just go ahead and let's make it wide open real quick. The Patriots did not look good. I'm talking 26-10. The box score does not lie here. It's not one of those games where you say, well, you know, the score doesn't really represent the game. No, this score represents this game. Tom Brady looked mediocre. His defense looked subpar. And we saw Stafford control the clock. We saw a running back hit 100 yards for the first time in, when did they say, 2015? 2012?
No, 2013. Thanksgiving 2013.
Woo!
That was Reggie Bush.
That's funny because I was just having a conversation with someone earlier about bad running backs that were really good in college. No, Reggie's a good guy. No, but what do you think about this game, man?
I think it's like the number one thing that stuck out to me was how long Tom Brady was holding on to the ball, which I guess is something with Matt Patricia's game plan, their coverages, whatever it is, because Brady's a snap and zip guy, right? As soon as he gets the ball, he's fine. He's going through his reads quick and he's throwing it. And tonight he was holding the ball longer. I mean, he got sacked twice for like 13 yards, but he was getting hit more than that. It just it didn't look too good.
No, definitely. And when I watched it, at one point, I think it was at the end of the third quarter, the Lions had 28 and a half minutes time of possession to 12 minutes of the Patriots. I mean, Brady was dry on the sideline. There was no sweat. And what I saw was an elusive back. When I watched Johnson run tonight, I was extremely excited. He was elusive. He was quick. He was hitting the holes with burst. And every time he hit the edge, he beat the defender. I was really impressed with this guy. Like, I went immediately to fantasy to see if anybody had him, and somebody had him in our league.
Of course they do.
Yeah, but I wonder if they know what they have because he didn't really get a lot of points tonight. And that's the thing. It wasn't a lot of points, but I saw something with my eye. He passed the football test with the eye, and the guy's got skills.
Well, I mean, this guy was an early pick for the Giants in the draft this year. He's a really good player. He's out of Auburn. This is what kind of everyone thought, like, when he was coming in, everyone said the Lions might finally have a run game. You couple that with LeGarrette Blount and Theo Riddick coming out of the back to catch passes. I mean, it seems they have everything they need for a run game, except maybe an offensive line. But tonight they look great.
I was about to say,
their
tonight
offensive line
really
was
good.
protecting. They were run blocking. They looked awesome.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I was one of the guys that got on the hype of Abdullah. The last couple of years when he first came in the game, he had the good jump cut. He had that little bit of a move, and then he had that one run in the very first week where he put a step on someone and made him like the ankles just fell apart. And I was like, "Ooh, great!" And I jumped on him right away. So I try not to do that.
What did you do? Fumble the ball the next play?
But all in all, when I looked at the Patriots, though. You really did. I mean, you hit it right there with what you said. The offense did not get first downs. I mean, it didn't happen to I think it was the final series of the second quarter that they actually got a first down. It was 3 and out. Brady was missing throws. I saw 3 overthrows that caught my eye that actually stood out from the others. And then they get 3 points with 30 seconds to go in the second half. Like, that's all you get is 3 points. I mean,
right. Yeah.
This is 2 games in a row of them getting completely owned in the first half, regardless of what Brady did and came and got a touchdown and it became close and then the Detroit ran away with it. And regardless what they did last week when they came close to taking it back, we have to understand the first half of these games, the Patriots are getting owned. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the benefit of the doubt we're giving them because we're like, oh, just the Patriots. They're gonna fix it. Are they?
The weird thing to me is I mean, the Patriots offense looking so sloppy. Like you said, he was missing passes. I saw a lot of drops today. He threw that long ball up the middle of the field to, I want to say it was Dorsett, that was intercepted. Like, where was he throwing the ball to? He had double coverage on
you're
the
talking
guy,
about the
and
double
he didn't
coverage.
put it.
I,
Right.
I texted you like, what is he
Right.
doing? Like, that's not Brady. And I don't know if it's because he's frustrated. A very confusing play. Like I said, subpar, really. It's upsetting. But I mean, all in all, what do you think about Detroit here, though? Do you think this was more of Matt Patricia getting his team together to go fight, against Daddy, make a point? Also, do you think a lot of what he knew already from this team played a big factor in it, or are we looking at a Detroit team that's starting to say, okay, we're going to buy into what this coach is doing. We're going to buy into the things that he's bringing to the table, and they're actually going to be a contender?
I don't think they'll be a contender. First off, just maybe not this year. They could turn around in the next couple years, but I think it's a little of both. I think the reason that they won so handily, like so easily, was because of the matchup, because Patricia knows so much. But at the same time, I think the Lions really are starting to turn around, and maybe they're starting to listen to Patricia and buy into what he wants to do. And I mean, they looked put together this week. And it's like a completely different team compared to week one when they got just shellacked by the Jets. And last week, the big thing to me last week is they were out of the game and they fought back into it. They got back into the game. They did end up losing by 3, but they still got back into it. And that's what points to me to say that they're really starting to buy in and be an actual unit.
Yeah. And we're going to have to wait to find out and really see how this really rolls into the following weeks. Let's go ahead and get into the daytime games. Let's dive into these games because, as we said, the last couple weeks, I feel like every Sunday I'm saying this. As soon as we get on the air, I say, what is going on in the NFL? What are we getting right now? I mean, it is confusing because the amount of parity right now and more of it every single
given
week.
Sunday.
Exactly. It's any given Sunday. That's what we're seeing week in and week out. And first up, we got the Falcons and the Saints. The Saints went down to Atlanta. It was a very close game. I believe there was 8 or 9 score changes in this game. There might even have been more, I'll be honest with you. The game came down to overtime. It ended with Drew Brees with a QB sneak diving into the end zone with the Saints winning 43-37. Well, what did you think about this game and Drew Brees' performance there with him capping off that new record? I believe it was the completions record. He passed Brett Favre. So what do you think about that?
6,300 receptions is insane, no matter who is playing quarterback, even if it's Drew Brees, who we all know is already a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best to ever do it. What I really noticed, again, the Falcons' red zone offense has completely changed. They're completely different. It's almost like week one, they were just completely Julio Jones reliant, and everyone knew that was coming. Everyone in the world who's watching that game was like, oh, they're in the red zone. Throw the ball to Julio Jones. Only now they're hitting this Calvin Ridley kid all over the place.
3 touchdowns.
Right, and just a boatload of yards, like all over him. He was their leading receiver, and I think receptions, yards, and touchdowns today. He was their main guy. But this was just a battle of no defense, really, and the Falcons could not get a run game going.
No, that's true. The defense issue is going to come back to haunt them eventually. I know they keep, both of these teams keep having that kind of happen, but they're playing in these shootouts. Eventually, they're going to come face to face with a team that's going to check them in that. And that's kind of what I have for you later on about somebody else in the NFL. And I want to wait for it. I want to make you think about this one before we talk about it. But I promise you, there's another one out there that I might have said was real, but I'm having questions, Paul. I'm having some doubts, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But no, all in all, I agree with you on this one. It was fun to watch. I mean, everybody loves touchdowns. That's what we're in right now. We're in the offensive era where it's QBs, throw touchdowns. Everybody jumps up. I'm a defensive guy. I like a 6-6, 9-3 kind of game where people just slugging it out and the first points don't get scored until like the third quarter. I'm down with that. But that's kind of just what kind of football I like. Let's go ahead and roll into the next game, though. A little bit of a different, I think we both got the picks wrong on this. We got the Packers headed over to Washington, D.C. It was a rainy day. Rain was everywhere on the field. Aaron Rodgers started off looking terrible, and the score ended up being 31-17. But there's an important thing that happened in this game that I know that we both talked about. It's being talked about everywhere. Clay Matthews again gets a roughing the passer call. We've got the video on the Facebook. He tackles him. I don't know how he avoids this. I don't know how he can avoid a penalty here. He's running up to him full speed. He grabs him. He brings him to the ground. Do you want him to push him over and hope he falls and that he doesn't spin move on him? I mean, I don't know what you want from him in this situation. It's just, you might as well put a skirt on these QBs and just let them, have a tutu and whatnot, because I just don't know what they expect right now.
Look, whether the rule is fair or not, you have to play with the rule, right? You know the rule's there. He still, when he tackled him, put all his body weight on him. That's the problem here. That's the main issue, and that's the rule that's out.
So the rule is the roughing the passer rule, which is Rule 12-2-9B, as in Bravo. When tackling a passer who is in a defenseless posture, and for example, during or just after throwing a pass, defensive players must not unnecessarily or violently throw him down or land on top of him with all or most of the defender's weights. Instead, the defensive player must strive to wrap up the passer with the defensive player's arms and not land on the passer with all or most of his body weight. So let me point out something in this that's really bothering me. One, for the examples of defenseless, it says just throwing a pass or during throwing a pass. Alex Smith was not doing either of those. He got hit being a QB. Then it says must not unnecessarily or violently throw him to the ground. There's nothing unnecessary about that. That QB was live. He had the ball. That's necessary. Take him down.
Right. But
we go back to the Super Bowl with Eli. What happened? They couldn't bring him down. You go back to Big Ben games. You couldn't bring him down.
Right. But the difference is you have to not land on him with your full body weight. That's actual wording. You read those words. Gator roll. The Seahawks were the first to implement rugby style tackling, right? They started training with this rugby style tackling, which is almost entirely using momentum and shifting your body weight to bring people down instead of just trying to just lay people out, right? That's why they were so good at open field tackling. That was really like a revolutionary thing in football. Only Clay Matthews doesn't think that this is important when the rule states you can't fall on someone. So stop falling on them, right?
I mean, that's what the rule says, so I understand. I just think that some of the plays that we're seeing right now, and I'm not the only one, but some of them just they're just upsetting, and it's really hurting the game. Yeah, I believe it's hurting the game a little bit, the way they're stopping it, and it's changing plays. Maybe we need to change the penalty or something, because the penalty is so dangerous that if it happens, I think maybe the penalty should be on the severity of it. Let the referee make a judgment call. Did that look like it was on purpose? Or did that look like it was on accident?
You have to pull on purpose or incidental out of the entire thing, right? Because if you do that, then like you said, every single penalty is a judgment call, whether or not anyone says so or not. And I do believe that refs are some of the most unbiased people on the planet. There's no such thing as a lack of bias, right? There's nothing. No situation has zero bias. Every ref is going to come into a situation. What happens if it's Vontaze Burfict? Do you think he's ever going to get the benefit of the doubt?
Never.
Right. And I don't think he deserves it, but I'm just saying, like, when you try and put in a decision process in the ref's head and he has to make a judgment call, that ruins it. I mean, that changes the whole aspect of the rule.
So Clay Matthews was interviewed after the game, and he said that the NFL is getting soft with these roughing calls. I know that we're going to touch on this a little bit throughout the season. In fact, we may be touching on it sooner than that. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this. We got plenty of games to go. All in all, this was a slugfest in the rain. I love games like that in the rain. Aaron Rodgers did not look good. In the beginning, he obviously always has this ability to do some type of play work. But then again, garbage time is always garbage time. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, it doesn't matter what your name is. If it's garbage time, it's garbage time. Most guys get touchdowns at that point. So it was a little too late. Redskins took this game and never let it go.
And who is this? Adrian Peterson? I thought he retired.
Yeah, it seems that
man
once a week he
had a
comes out of
game.
retirement, though, because the next week he'll be retired again.
Right. But, I mean, hey, he had a hell of a game. I think what really sticks out to me, too, is not only did Peterson have this great game and get 2 touchdowns and everything, but Alex Smith only threw 20 passes. I mean, I know he threw more passes than that, and there were plays that got pass interference, which also leads me to the Packers defense, which looks sloppy coverage. They're getting pass interference called. They had 3 on a single drive, and that led to a touchdown. That's going to happen. So, I mean, we have to see a change in that. Another thing, I know the Packers did lose Muhammad Wilkerson, defensive lineman, which is probably a big part of why Adrian Peterson had such a successful day. But either way, I mean, the Packers have to try and figure something out on defense.
Yeah, and just to let the people listening know, for the football fans out there, Adrian Peterson scored his 101st rushing touchdown in the first quarter, so he officially passed Marshall Faulk and Sean Alexander for sole possession of number 7 most all-time in NFL history. So after that, he also scored 102, before halftime. So it looks like Adrian Peterson is slowly solidifying his place in the history books. I don't know if we can say Hall of Fame first ballot. I think the guy's definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame one day because of his career. I just don't know without
his
a ring.
records.
But see, a lot of the things.
But he's a running back.
No. I know he'll be in there eventually. Here's what I'm saying. Maybe you misheard me. First ballot is usually saved for those guys that get it. Yes, there's a lot of guys that get in there eventually. I'm saying first ballot, and I think AP can be a first ballot guy. Maybe, I don't know. He did some great things. And one of the
when
things
he tore that knee up,
and
then came back even stronger. Oh,
yeah, that was sick. People were minds were blown. And here's the thing, and we're getting sidetracked, but I have to say it. When I think of a first ballot Hall of Famer, I think of someone and I say, can the NFL be what it is today without that person? And if the answer is no, then the answer is then they are a first ballot. Like Terrell Davis, the NFL, he should have been the minute he could get into the Hall of Fame. To me, he should have been in, because you can't have the NFL without Terrell Davis. Like same thing with all these different greats, like Randy Moss.
The Broncos couldn't win a Super Bowl without Terrell Davis.
Exactly.
Before they didn't really have a run game. So,
and I think that's why so many people had an issue with the T.O. thing, because as much as he got in trouble, you don't have the NFL without T.O. Like the
guy's incredible.
And he just, his personality, as much as it pissed people off. Let's save it for the Hall of Fame podcast with MVP News. All right, let's get on to the next one. So our next game is the Colts versus the Eagles. Now, this was a very close game. This came down to the final play at the final moment with a Hail Mary. Jacoby Brissett got the throw. And we're going to get into that. What was that?
I said, what?
Yeah, so I don't know if you got a chance to catch this, but they asked Andrew Luck, does this mean something's wrong with your shoulder? But what it was he drove them down to about the 40-ish area, something like that, and they decided to throw Brissett in there because Andrew Luck really hasn't thrown a ball like that since this surgery and since healing and everything. And he said the reason it happened is because Brissett just has the stronger arm, and they trusted it. Now, obviously, people are asking the question, is his arm okay?
I don't think it is.
Because why would he not make that? Game's on the line.
Right.
You should want that ball.
And it's Luck's MO, man. This is what he does. This is like from the minute he got in the league, he's a fourth quarter guy. He's a inject life kind of guy. But I don't see it right now. He's not pushing the ball up the field. And I think the fact that they take him out to throw the Hail Mary just proves that he's not 100% yet. And I think they're damaging their chances at future here you can't, if he can't throw the ball upfield and you don't have a run game, you can't win.
Well, and not only that, but their offense looked weak completely. I mean, they had the ball on the it was within the 5 or within the 10-yard line. It was 4th down, and they had to get in, and Luck got sacked, and the Eagles got the ball turnover on downs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they had the possibility to actually get it done right there in the end zone, but, I mean, they just couldn't do it. But all in all, Carson Wentz made his reappearance, and that's really what everybody really was waiting for. I think he looked good in the sense of we were worried about rust. He showed mobility. He showed accuracy with his throws. He had a couple missed throws, but I mean, you expect that with rust. He had the very first series he came in, he scores a touchdown to his backup, or not backup, but second string tight end. I mean, I think he looked decent. He got the W, and that's what matters.
Right.
It was terrible field conditions. It was raining all day in Philly. So at the end of the day, the W is what matters. He ate that W, like Jameis Winston would say. So all in all, that's what really does matter. So I don't know if you noticed anything about Wentz.
I thought he looked, like you said, good for his first game back. He didn't look incredible or anything like that. He's not back to MVP form quite yet, but it's his first game back. We'll give him some time. I'm sure next week he'll be better, and he'll just keep getting better from there. He's a great player. He's a phenomenal quarterback. So I think we're looking at a good season.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. The Colts came close, so we'll see. There's been a couple close calls with them, but so the next game, this one's one that's going to be a little crow eating right here, and it's not just you and me eating crow. It's not just.
I think it's the whole world.
Yeah, it's not just anybody that we know eating crow. The United States of America needs to pull up a chair to this crow table. Everybody that's on TV tomorrow is going to pull up a chair to this crow table.
Get
The
yourself
Buffalo
a fork.
Bills demolished, destroyed,
They
destroyed.
annihilated.
Yeah, whooped.
They
Spanked.
blasted them into oblivion.
Yeah. I guess you could say so. 27-6 against the Vikings at home. At home, Allen jumped over a Viking like it was nothing.
That was Anthony Barr too.
He threw two touchdowns.
He ran for 2. I think he threw for 1, ran for 2.
He ran for 2, and then so all in all, I barely even got a chance to. I would flip through on my Sunday ticket, and I'm like, what's going on over here? And I see the score, and I'm like, what in the world is going on? And at the end of the game, White was walking through the tunnel, and he said, "You like that?" a little ode to Kurt. But seriously, what I said to Paul earlier, and I'm going to say it again. This happens to the great teams. They go into a stadium, and they have the mind made up that they've won the game already. They think they've won it already. They beat the team already mentally. And then the media is counting them out. Everybody's saying they're going to lose. Everybody's saying they're terrible. And then they go in there and get punched in their mouth. And the Vikings got punched in their mouth. And then they got another punch. And it's like the Bills hit them with a 2-piece and a biscuit before they ever realized they were even in a fight. And by then it was too late. They got the wind knocked out of them. They couldn't even score a touchdown. How pathetic is that? Oh, my goodness. I have nothing else to say about this game other than the Vikings better take that as a wake-up call that you're playing in the National Football League and you don't own any win. If you're going somewhere, that's a game that you need to go battle.
Right. Vikings need to learn to prepare no matter what, it's weird to me. I think Mike Zimmer is probably one of the best guys in the league at this about preparing no matter what. But I don't know. I mean, it's not always the head coach. Sometimes the players just do their own thing or whatever. Or maybe even he had a bad week. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's the coach that goes in there thinking the game's already won, because coaches, they usually don't do that. Coaches like Zimmer, at least. I think it's the players, because the players are watching the TV. They watch NFL Network. They watch ESPN. They watch FS1. They see the Skips, the Shannons, the Stephen A's. They see the Cowards. They see everybody saying how the Bills are the worst team. They hear the MVP news saying that the Bills are forked already. They hear these things. So they go in there with this mental thing like, oh, we're going in there to play these scrubs. We're going here to just knock these guys out. So I think it's the players 100%.
One of the most complete rosters in the league just gets beat by one of the I mean, what looked like one of the worst rosters in the league. One thing I did notice, though, Josh Allen, while he did come out and get this win, the fact that he's choosing to run so often, that kind of speaks to me about either the level of his abilities, as far as like maybe he doesn't have that kind of relationship built with his receivers, or he just doesn't trust his own arm, or whatever it is. I think he still has a way to go, but hey, Bills got to win. They won't be 0-16.
Yeah, well, there you go. Now they're at least 1-16. Yeah, Josh Allen had 196 yards passing, 39 yards rushing, but yeah, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 1 touchdown in the air. So, all in all, pretty bad game to watch. I mean, it was fun if you're a Bills fan, but it was pretty sad and pathetic watching it if you weren't. The next game, another sad and pathetic game, another upset game for someone unless you're a Dolphins fan, and that's the Raiders at the Dolphins. That's right. The Dolphins stay undefeated. They are now 3-0. And they went there and handed old Chucky his 3rd loss in a row. Oh, no. This one was a bad game to watch. The Raiders cannot get their game together. They cannot get their act together. They look weak. I don't know what you think, Paul.
The interceptions are a huge thing to me, right? Not just the like that he threw them. Everyone throws interceptions here and there. It's not like that's the end of the world. It matters where and what the situation is. And when you throw interception going deep toward the end zone, I know you're not in the red zone, but you just put it in the red zone, and then they still return the ball back out to like the 50, and then on top, and that play happened right after the Raiders had intercepted a pass. So the Raiders get an interception, they turn around and take a shot, which is normal. You see that all the time. But Derek Carr threw an interception on that shot, and that takes all the wind out. And then on top of that, he threw an interception inside his own territory. Derek Carr's got to clean it up. And this is the weird thing to me, too. John Gruden's whole brand is that he's a quarterback guy, right? And I just don't see it.
Yeah, he was a quarterback guy back in 2000, though.
But not even then. My point is that, like, on ESPN, he was a quarterback guy. He had that camp and everything. He always talked to the incoming rookies and everything like that. But who's he had as a successful quarterback? He had Rich Gannon in the one year, but Rich Gannon won the MVP after Gruden left. Gruden had Brad Johnson in Tampa. He had Josh Freeman in Tampa. Johnson. He just had a bunch of guys who might have had promise at some point, but never really did much. I mean, I just don't see the quarterback guru, and I definitely don't see it right now. And Derek Carr, we already know how good he was, and this is what we're getting right now. I don't know. Maybe it's still just a building phase, right? That Gruden's trying to get his footing in with the new team, but he doesn't look good right now.
No, I agree 100%. Like you said, it's the interceptions, and it's not even just one interception this week or 2 interceptions this week. The fact that he had 2 this week, and then he had numerous ones every single week. Yeah, he had 2 interceptions this week. He's having a pick every single game. That's not good. You cannot throw a pick every single game. You just can't do that. Now, I will say it was relieving to see Jordy Nelson pick up 173 yards. Seeing him have that burst still. That's amazing. Too bad it means nothing, though, if you're turning the ball over and you're not actually scoring. I mean, that's Jordy had 173 yards. He only scores 1 touchdown. A football field is 100 yards. So the guy's literally moving down up and down 2 football fields, and he only scores once. I mean, I don't know if they can't get the ball in, but that seems to be their problem, not being able to finish off drives, not being able to get off the field, or, convert on 3rd down, and then just turning the ball over. I mean, all in all, I don't think the Dolphins are that real, but if they keep playing scrubs, they're going to look real. Exactly. So
they'll lead the AFC.
Yeah, and they're in the division with a Patriots team that just fell to 1-2.
1-2.
Wow.
And the Jets are 1-2, and the Bills are 1-2.
Wow. The Bills and the Patriots are the same record.
And guess who's above them?
The Browns.
The Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get on to the next game. So the next game we have is a game that I believe you probably watched a little bit more than me about.
I did.
and that's the Broncos facing off with the Ravens. Now, this game started off with the Ravens not looking good, so Paul texted me saying, I told you they're not real. So I'm going to listen to him as he eats crow right now and tells you about this game.
I want you to know, I picked them to win this game. I said it. I said they're at home. I think they have a better offense. I think they're going to win the game. But you started out, they looked bad. They're getting sacked. Then they're getting punts blocked. I mean, Denver's set up to go and take this game by the horns from the very beginning, and they just kind of lose their footing. The one play, Case Keenum got sack fumble, and Phillip Lindsay, the rookie running back, comes running in, jumps on the pile, throws some punches, gets ejected. I think we're really just seeing Case Keenum come back to earth from his really good season last year. He doesn't look that good this year. He had less than 200 yards today. My question is, when are we going to see John Elway bring in a decent quarterback?
Never. Unless, I've been hearing the rumors about Con Felway, and I think he's going to be a good quarterback for the team. He's like 55 years old, though. How old is John Elway?
I don't know. He's probably 50, 60, something like that.
You think he offers a better hope than Case Keenum?
I mean, do we look at this as like maybe Brady gets, like, the Patriots want to move on from Brady before he retires, and so we get Peyton Manning 2.0 in Denver? Do you think Brady would even go to Denver?
You shut your mouth. I don't even want to shut your mouth.
No, I'm not saying I think that's going to happen. I'm just saying, like,
would John jump for
our only
Brady?
Option?
I think John would jump for Brady, but I don't think that. I
think
really
he would
don't
too.
think the Brady. I mean, I really don't think Brady's ever going to leave there. Now I know the little book came out,
I know the
little things came out, like lunch trades and everything, divorce and all that. I don't believe it.
Everybody has that feeling sometimes. Like he said, he felt a little trapped, and I don't really read too much into it. People might have that feeling, but the fact that he's still there now means that he overcame it. It's in the past, But also the author of that book was I heard this. I think Eric Mangini was talking about it. Said this is the guy that said in 2000 that the Patriots would regret the hiring of Bill Belichick. Yeah, how's that going now?
Yeah,
is this the guy that's the authority on? Right. Is this the guy that's the authority on Bill Belichick now? But we go from Peyton Manning, and everyone thinks, oh, John Elway's this monster general manager, right? He could put a team together. They went to the Super Bowl. They went twice, right? I mean, they looked awful in the first one with one of the best offenses in history.
Completely destroyed. Completely.
Right. And then they win the second one, but not because of the quarterback play. Peyton Manning was awful.
Yeah.
It was all on the defense, right? And their defense is falling apart. Their offense hasn't ever recovered because Brock Osweiler was the next guy who left and got paid, right? Which kudos to John Elway. He didn't pay Osweiler. But then we get Trevor Siemian into Case Keenum. When are we going to get a good quarterback?
That's a good question. And honestly, watching the way that the way that they have recruited and the way that they have drafted and the way that they have traded, I don't think they know what they're doing. I don't think they're going to have a good quarterback. And I think they truly think Case Keenum is the future. Like they believe that. And we'll find out. I mean,
yeah.
They're only 2-1. I mean, it's not like they're suffering or anything like that, So in their mind, things are fine. But so let's go ahead and get on to this next one, because this next one's a little bit of a stinker, but it's an interesting game. So we had the Bengals head over to Carolina. Carolina is obviously, they dealt with that hurricane and everything, so they had they had something they were playing for, I believe.
Right.
They went out there, and McCaffrey again. Now, last week I remember sitting here with you talking about McCaffrey because he had the all-purpose scrimmage yards and he destroyed it. Well, this guy, Cam Newton, only threw for 150 yards. Why? Because he didn't have to do much. When your running back rushes 28 times and gets 184 yards. That's 6.6 yards per carry. I mean, and then Cam Newton runs for 36 yards on 10 rushes. C.J. Anderson, he only had 9 yards, so nothing really special there. But at the end of the day, Your running back runs for 184 yards.
Right.
That's time possession.
running
That's
game.
that's ground control. That's a win. Like I don't think you can rush for 184 yards and not win unless you're just getting. I can't even think of an example of when that would happen, because if you're rushing that much and you're getting those kind of yards, you're dominating the field control, the time possession, and you're moving the chains.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, the Panthers look pretty good on offense and defense today. I mean, Andy Dalton threw 4 interceptions, and it's hard to win a game when you throw 4 picks. So
Yeah, it's extremely hard to win the game. Unless you're playing against the Browns, then you might tie. So, moving on to the next game, we've got the Giants.
Jab.
Hey, I had to throw it at you. So, next we got the Giants playing the Texans. This one right here, a lot of people were wrong on this one too. A lot of people counted the Giants out with this one. They had higher hopes for the Texans, and here's what I got to say. And I think we hit on it last week. We haven't seen much from J.J. Watt and Clowney and this defense that was supposed to be something. And even though we saw a spark a while back, and then we also saw J.J. Watt be J.J. Watt. Let's not get that wrong. We know what J.J. Watt was capable of. And we gave him that benefit of the doubt where no matter what, we always thought he was him. He's not him anymore. This Giants offensive line is not good. There's no way they should not have demolished this line. There's no way they should not have been giving them work. And then Deshaun Watson, there's no way you should have gotten beat out by Eli, because we know who Eli is. He didn't get it suddenly good. He didn't suddenly have a monster. No. Maybe we think of Deshaun Watson as prior to his ACL injury and say that's who Deshaun Watson is still. And maybe we look at J.J. Watt in that line and think that they're still like the old J.J. Watt in them. I don't think they are. And I'm going to stop giving them the benefit of the doubt, honestly.
my big thing is Deshaun Watson still looks good. I don't think it's Deshaun Watson's fault. I think it's mostly the Texans defense is not what it used to be, right? They don't even look close to what they used to be. They're 0-3 now, aren't they?
Yep. They're a bad team. It's a bad coach team right now.
Right. That's what I'm thinking too. How's the defense falling off so hard? Now, maybe the absence of Mike Vrabel is more important than we think, since he's in Tennessee and they're 2-1 right now. But I don't know. Their defense doesn't look good, and they have 0 run game.
Well, they also lost the turnover battle today, so they lost 1 fumble in the game, and they had an interception thrown. As far as third downs go, they were bad on third downs. They had more penalties. They were just all around. They're exactly what a poorly coached team is, because that's what happens when you have a lot of turnovers, when you have a lot of penalties, when your star players that you know are good are not performing, so someone's not motivating them to be who they are. I believe this goes back on to Bill O'Brien. He's been there for 5 years? Has it been 5 years already?
I think so. And how many quarterbacks have they had there?
They've had a lot. They've had Savage, McCown.
Not
Wheatley?
McCown. They had Fitzpatrick.
No, they had
Savage, Fitzpatrick, Hoyer. Mallet.
Mallet. That's what I was thinking of. Not McCown. Didn't Wheatley? Is that what his name was? Brian, the dude that was with the Browns. He's a nobody. Obviously, I can't remember his name. And then he went to the Cowboys. Whatever.
Oh, Brandon Weeden. Yeah, he went there.
And Weeden was
Brandon
there.
Weeden
Yeah,
played
they
there.
had like eight QBs.
And, they got a lot of, and Osweiler played there. And,
Osweiler. That was, and it all started with, we used to think he was terrible, but now looking back on their days, that was like their best. Schaub. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt Schaub was like the pick six king. Every single game, who's Matt Schaub going to throw a pick six to today?
And then there was Derek Carr. Derek Carr was there.
No, David Carr. But that's before Bill O'Brien.
David. That's what I meant. I was going back real far to like expansion team. What was that, back in like 2007 or
right,
something?
like 02, yeah.
But no, yeah. So, but all in all, though, Bill O'Brien's record there.
Like, even when their defense looks so good, somehow they just don't show up.
Yeah, their defense
I
will
don't know.
carry them. J.J. Watt's defensive MVP. Well, he got it 2 years in a row, I believe. I mean, he was a complete
like that.
beast. He had he broke
was catching
sack records.
passes.
I mean, he was going through a moment, and they couldn't capitalize on that. They couldn't do
Right.
anything. They weren't offensive.
And his prime might be over now.
Yeah, it's looking like it. It is looking like
Yeah.
it. Yeah. All in all, though, I mean, Giants went in there. They won the game, and it's sad to see that the Texans are not what I thought they were. 0-3. So
Yeah.
now there's like a 2% chance, I think it is, that they can go anywhere and do anything.
And the Giants' offense is still just as predictable as what I talked about last week, where it's like Saquon Barkley or Odell Beckham. That's it. And they still just they're not stopping them. Now, maybe these two guys are really just that good, and that's a strong possibility, right? Odell Beckham, we know he's really good. Saquon Barkley is expected to be really good. So maybe that's what it is, but they just, I mean, if those are the only two guys that are getting the ball and you're still not stopping them, I mean, I don't know what to say.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and dive into this next game, because this one right here, this is your slugfest. This is what what we were saying earlier that I like as far as football goes. So we've got the Titans heading over to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Titans beat the Jaguars 9-6. That's right. I want to frame this up for you guys real quick. 1 week ago, the Patriots got handled by this team. Handled, whooped up, smacked up. Patriots tried to come back. They couldn't. Blake Bortles looked like a friggin' MVP against them.
Right. 450 yards or something like that.
Yeah, destruction. 4 touchdowns. I mean, beasts. They get beat by the Tennessee Titans 9-6. It's a defensive slugfest. They can't even score a touchdown. And the Titans aren't that great. I mean, they're not like a defensive juggernaut.
Or at least not that we've seen yet. Now maybe they're better than we think they are. Because like I said, the Mike Vrabel thing, they're 2-1. And I was quick to shoot down Mike Vrabel, especially after that question of, well, I don't know who's going to play quarterback. We'll probably play them both. And I was like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. But it seems like he does know what he's doing. Now, they still have no quarterback play. Don't get me wrong. It's not like Mariota's looking good or Blaine Gabbert looked good last week. But defensively, they look good.
Well, here's the thing. Mariota had 100 yards today.
Right. That's my point. They look awful.
100 yards. Blake Bortles had 155 yards. Yeldon only had 44 yards. Like, this is a complete defensive matchup. And here's what kills me is you would think the Jaguars D, that's the D that we know of, would have won that battle. But it seems that the Titans were able to move the ball just enough.
Just one field goal too many.
Just one field goal too many is exactly what it is. And the Jaguars walk away losing this game and falling down to 2-1, I believe they are. But, you know, with the AFC right now with the Patriots losing, that's good. I mean, they're not in the same division, but they're in the same conference here. And that matters because that usually we always chalk up the Patriots to getting the home field advantage and all that stuff. Right now, it's not looking that good for them. But we'll see. We will stay tuned on the Jaguars and see
it's
what
only
happens.
3 weeks in.
It's week 3, guys. So the next game, there's not really much to say about it. It's a pretty boring game. No, I'm just messing with you guys. This is the Chiefs and the 49ers. That's right. Patrick Mahomes continuously showing up, showing off.
It up.
3 more touchdowns, 13 on the year. Oh, my goodness.
I got a problem, first off, before we really get into this one, I got this problem of people saying like, oh, Pat Mahomes with the NFL record for most touchdowns in the first 3 games of the season. That's not a real record. Don't give me that. Well, I want single
what they
game,
do.
Single season, or career. That's what I want.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I noticed there's one thing that the NFL does that does piss me off. They are the only people that will find out the weirdest stat of what you're doing and then tell you how better it is than last time. Like if someone was to step on the number 2 on the field 6 times in the second quarter, they'd find a way to look that up and be like, The last time someone stepped on the number 2 6 times was back in 1999. He's the first player to do it since then. Like, they find the weirdest stuff. Like, if you hit 120 yards on the dot and you do that 3 weeks in a row, they're like, not a single player in the world has ever did 120 yards on the dot 3 weeks in a row. Like, stop it.
We used to call those Peyton Manning stats because it seemed to always be about him. It'd be like Peyton Manning is the first quarterback to win a game by 6 points while wearing a white T-shirt under his pads on the first Sunday after voting Tuesday.
Well, speaking of Peyton Manning records, Patrick Mahomes seems to have beaten Peyton Manning's record that he set in 2013 with that Broncos team you were speaking of earlier for the most passing scores in the first 3 games of the season. Now, here's what I want to point out, though. And this one is this right here is something to note. He had 9 receivers have separate touchdowns out of those 13.
Oh, yeah.
The record for that in a season is 13 by Matt Ryan in his MVP season, 2016.
Right.
It's not even October yet.
Is Pat Mahomes the MVP?
No, I'm not going to
say it.
No.
Say it.
No, I'm not saying that. No, I would never. But what I'm saying is, are we saying that this guy is 4 receivers away from breaking that record? Because that's a record right there.
That's a record.
That's a season record. See, when you're about to break like that 3 week stuff, I agree with you. Like, I don't care what he does in 3 weeks, because if he takes a crap and dies tomorrow, and I don't mean that literally, but if he just stops playing football tomorrow, who cares what he did in his first 3 weeks? Guess what? I don't care if you go 16-0, Patriots, because if you don't win the Super Bowl, it means nothing.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It means nothing.
Cool, bro. Like, that's not what I'm concerned with. There's this big fat ring I want you to get that has diamonds in it. But no. So the seasonal records, like the complete ones, I like big picture stuff. But no, Patrick, he looks good. I'm watching his play. It's not just hype. And I'm going to be honest with you. I get, like, hype. Players just get lucky and they have stuff happen. Like, honestly, Peyton, when he did that in 2013, had a little bit of luck in it, because you watched it and he had some great receivers, and Mahomes does too. But the way that things were just turning for that team, they had luck involved in that to get to those numbers they got. Yeah. I don't care about the numbers. I'm watching Mahomes out there. He's got talent. He is running and playing
that
loose.
kid can play.
He's playing free. His footwork, his release, like everything about him screams football player.
And his passes look effortless. Oh my gosh. Like, you just can't. I can't tell you the last time that I saw someone play this pretty. And I know, like, Tom Brady's the obvious choice, and I'm not saying that. They're just different types of guys, right? Watching Tom Brady play is cerebral. He's a pre-snap guy. He's not the arm talent. But Patrick Mahomes is I don't even know what to say about him. Today he scrambled back 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he still throws a touchdown on it. And guys wide as day open. I mean, that's what happens when you get extra time. But I'm saying, and the pass, he just flicks the pass in there. Like, his wrist is the only thing that moved. He didn't even. He expended no energy to move that ball the 30 yards it took, and it just. I'm speechless. That's how good he looks right now.
So once in a while, everything aligns. All the planets align. The stars align. It's not just his skill. Let's look at it this way. You've got Andy Reid, a great offensive mind coach. You've got that roster that he has with Hill and his
Tyreek Hill,
his
Sammy
running
Watkins,
backs,
Conley,
everything that he's got.
Kareem Hunt and Travis Kelce.
You get the fact that he trained under Alex Smith. Now, I know that not a lot of people are fans of Alex Smith, but regardless, and I heard someone say this best the other day on one of the shows I watch, a football coach will never know as much as a player, no matter how long they've coached, and if they never played. And Andy Reid has never played. So when another player that's been in the league for a long time, because guys, don't forget, Alex Smith didn't just start at Kansas City. He sucked at San Fran for a while, so he's been through the bad and the good.
Right, until Harbaugh
so
came.
he can teach you hey, I've been through this. I've made these mistakes. I've done this, this, and that. And from what we've been told by Andy Reid in the offseason, he opened up to Patrick Mahomes last year. He taught him. He really opened up. He wasn't like Big Ben, who will not open up and train and won't be a mentor for his quarterbacks.
Where it's not his job.
Yeah, he's not that kind of guy. But Alex was, because Alex knew, hey, this guy is the future QB here. I'm on the way out. And guess what? Andy Reid hooked him up and made sure to send him somewhere where they wanted a QB and they were willing to pay him. So it was the stars aligned. Mahomes has the perfect amount of natural skill with a great offensive-minded coach, with a great talent around him, and a great mentor. It's going to be magic for the next couple years. I think it's solidified. He's the franchise quarterback. The guy's good. He's going to come back down to earth. If he doesn't, then we're witnessing something. But he's going to come back.
Well, I'm saying chances are good next season. He'll, let's say this year.
Next season? You thinking he's going to stay this season?
Well, I'm saying let's just say that he does, right?
Oh my goodness!
On the chance that he just continues this run and he breaks records, and he's the greatest rookie to ever play the game, right? The chances are good that next season he's not as good, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has their sophomore slump, right? That's normal for quarterbacks.
Here's the thing. I just hope that he doesn't get hurt, and I don't want to put that in there, but a lot of rookie quarterbacks lately.
Because this is what happened to Deshaun last year.
Deshaun, Carson Wentz, Andrew Luck, RG3. Now, some of these guys might have ended up bad, but every young quarterback that has practice nowadays, has potential. Like you fear for that, and then it happens, and it happens like clockwork, and you're like, Like I'm still happy. Our injury with Russell was last year of him playing injured. Like he just had a bad year like that. Like thank God. Because I feared it because he ran a lot that I was like, man, please don't get hit. So I just hope that this young quarterback doesn't run too much. He doesn't act stupid. He doesn't get smashed, and all goes well. But the game went good. Now, let me let you guys know, you may have already known this. If you're a football fan, you're listening, I hope you know this already. If you don't even know this, then you're really relying on us for everything. So Jimmy G did get hit late in the game. He went down. He did not get up very fast. He actually had to get carted off. We are still waiting on his MRI tomorrow, but they are in fear that it is a torn ACL. They're hoping that it's not. They're hoping that it's not as bad. But what does this mean for the 49ers, Paul?
Well, their backup's C.J. Beathard, and I don't think that's much to call home about.
I like calling him beat hard.
Beat hard. I mean, if it's a torn ACL, the season's over. I hate to say that.
And we just got done saying it, too. The young quarterbacks, it happens. And it sucks so bad. It hurts so bad. I feel so sorry for these kids.
Yeah. And I mean, I want to have faith in Kyle Shanahan. I want to have faith in this rookie kid or the second-year kid.
Well, Kyle even said it's a big deal. He said this is a big deal.
Oh, it's definitely a big deal. C.J. Beathard isn't the quarterback that Jimmy Garoppolo is. And you don't have to plan against the pass. You can force. It's what people do to the Cowboys right now. You force them to throw the ball. And what happens? Nothing. They don't look good. So if Jimmy's out for the season's over. We can count the Niners out.
I like that because the Cardinals are pretty much counted out in my book, and that means it leaves one team for us to chase after. And as I said, we have something coming on later on in this show that I have to talk about.
Don't think you're gonna catch them.
All right, let's go ahead and get on to the next game. We've got speaking of. We've got the battle of the LA teams. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the LA Chargers and the LA Rams. Paul, go ahead and break this one down because I got something to talk about.
Okay, I'll start it off. What is this, the first face-off between two LA teams since I think they said 95 or something like that? Either way, today, Jared Goff looked great. And I didn't think he had that in him, honestly. I think he looks really good. He's throwing the ball downfield. He's hitting multiple different receivers. Todd Gurley still ran for like 100 yards. And And this is against a Chargers defense that isn't slouch, right? People have been talking about how good they look. Now, Goff did throw the one pick, but I mean, 3 touchdowns versus 1 pick, I can take that, especially when he's pushing the ball upfield. So can the Rams be stopped at this point? I mean, obviously, I think they're going to lose a game here and there, but they look like front runners.
You done?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me tell you what I feel about this Rams team. And this is what I just want to be honest about. They are good. And I have my notes here, and I was writing some stuff about. And he said definitely. No. They're good. They're not one-hit wonders like a lot of people were worried about. They have good talent on the offense. But
good coaching.
Let me ask you a question. What defense has the Rams played yet this season?
Well, I mean, they just played the Chargers.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said what defense?
Right. They just played the Chargers.
Yeah, exactly. So they played the Chargers, the Cardinals, and the Raiders. And I want you to...
so I get what you're trying to say, but I'm saying the Chargers are a good defense. I said, they're not a slouch.
I wouldn't go that far. They get scored on. And that's the thing.
Right. So if you look at their stats this year, yeah, but they played the Chiefs and the Rams. They didn't get scored on last week. I mean, they gave up some garbage time points, but I don't count those. So the Bills put up 20, I think, but some of that was garbage time. They didn't give up much
they
against
played the Bills. So, I mean, that's whatever. But
right, but their 2 other games are against juggernauts.
Here's what I'm saying. I think people are crowding the Rams a little too early, and I might be a homer. I might be. But...
Oh, you are?
No. Listen. The Rams are good, but I don't think that they've played against an actual defense to bring them back down to earth. And then also what I wanted to add is their defense didn't stop Phillip Rivers, and Phillip Rivers was still able to score on them. Now, granted, they put up an extra 10 on them because they do have a good offense.
This is a Hall of Famer.
What?
So he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, of course he's a Hall of Famer, but listen, man.
So they didn't stop the Hall of Famer. That's like, come on. That's not fair.
No, listen, I don't care if he's a Hall of Famer or not. You stop him if you're a good team. 23-35. They gave up 23 points. Seattle's coming for him. I'm not worried about it. I can't wait till we see these bum LA Rams so we can whoop their butts real quick. We're going to win a division. Mark it down.
No, I'm not marking that. I'll do you a favor and I'll forget that you said that.
No. Listen, well, let's go ahead and roll into the next game, the game that matters for the week. Let me talk to you about the game of the week. The Seattle Seahawks hosting the Dallas Cowboys, and them Seattle Seahawks.
The stinker of the week.
Those Seattle Seahawks won 24-13. No, all in all, so I'm joking around here. I think the Rams are really good teams, guys, but I do think that they haven't played a good a good defense yet.
Right
so I don't think that they're a 35-point team a week. I think that they lead the league in the best differential between, scoring between the team or whatever that.
And you're going to get that point differential thing, right? I mean, when you're playing the Raiders and you're playing the Cardinals, and I'll give it to them this week, but I get what you're saying. Like, you're going to have that point differential playing against those defenses.
But I want to see them against a good defense. That's all I want to see.
Well, they play the Vikings next week.
I want to see them. Oh, well, I don't even know now, right?
Well, the Vikings will actually come to play, we expect, right?
Yeah.
They got their wake-up call, and they're playing a good team. So.
I mean, they're going to play a good defense when they play Seattle. That's going to happen.
Yeah, okay.
That's going to happen. Now, like I was originally
Seattle
saying,
shut down Dak
let's
Prescott
go ahead
today.
and get into that Seahawks game. So, Cowboys fans, go ahead and skip to about 7 minutes from now. You probably don't want to hear this part.
You don't want to hear this.
I'm sorry, because I don't want to lose you as a fan. If you're a Cowboys fan and you're listening, I appreciate you for listening. I do. And it's not personal. This is professional. This is business. This is football. Y'all look terrible today. And I'm not saying that just as a Seahawks fan. Your biggest fan, Skip Bayless, I think, was tweeting about it all afternoon. You guys looked really terrible. And I told 2 of my friends today that I was texting, I really believe it's your coaching. Because you have talent. Like, you have talent somewhere on the team. But I just don't know why it's not coming together. And it looks like you guys have the cuffs on Dak, and you're not letting Dak actually move the ball. You're not letting him do anything. So I took notes during that game, like I always do. And one of the things I noticed was Dak had like 4 yards at one point in the first quarter, like going into the second quarter. They only had like 40 yards in the first half. He was unable to move the ball. His line was unable to stop our pass rush. So everybody was talking about how Seattle was going to have to get, worry about getting sacked by the Hot Boys, the Cowboys. That's not what happened. Dallas couldn't stop the pass rush. Dallas couldn't do much. I mean, Zeke ran for over 100. But at the end of the day, it meant nothing because Zeke fumbled the ball. Dak threw two interceptions.
I don't remember.
Yeah, both to Earl Thomas, who you wanted, but you cannot have. And Russell looked great. Russell threw some precise, beautiful dimes. He did what he had to do. And Chris Carson went over 100 yards. First time since Thomas Rawls did it 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago. But yeah, I mean, Seattle looked good. It brought back some hope. We got the same record as the Patriots, so I'm not really that much worried about the season right now. Obviously, we have a lot of work to do, but Seattle came out there. They fought hard. They showed that they're not as bad as people thought. You got to remember, we played Von Miller and then Khalil Mack back-to-back road games at 2 dangerous home fields. We're not going to lose like that at home. And the people that thought that, Paul, eat crow.
I'll go ahead and eat it right now. Seattle played way better than I thought. Somehow they established a run game today, which isn't their norm. Cowboys only got 2 sacks on them. So Seattle's figuring something out. I don't know if they just didn't pass as much. Oh, they were in garbage time too?
Yeah, they didn't get the sacks until we were already up 17 on them.
Okay. So, I mean, like I was saying, the Seahawks looked good today. I expected the Cowboys to get after it more on defense, that they'd get to Russell Wilson more. The Seahawks almost never have a run game recently, so I didn't expect that either. And, I mean, like I was saying before, when you force the Cowboys to throw the ball, nothing really happens. Only they didn't really force them because Zeke still ran for over 120 yards. So, I mean, the turnovers don't help the Cowboys, but Seahawks outplayed them today, and I think I think you may be right about the coaching, right? That I don't hate the guys that coach at Dallas. I don't think they're bad coaches necessarily, but for some reason, after a 13-3 season, they've only gone downhill, and Dak Prescott looks worse and worse as time goes on.
15-1.
Oh, it's 15-1 season. Yeah. No. Regardless, my point is, since Dak and Zeke's rookie year, Dak Prescott has only looked worse, and the Cowboys have only gone downhill.
No, I 100% agree with you there.
I just don't know where are we sitting with the Cowboys, and at what point do we think maybe it is the coaching? Are they going to move on from Garrett? Is Garrett every year? I feel like we say that Jason Garrett's in the hot seat, and we never see him go. So when is it going to happen? If it's going to happen?
And that's a question that Jerry needs to start thinking about because it's serious. Now, one thing I wrote on my notes during this game, though, I wanted to stop and talk about for 2 seconds. It's a little off topic. But I was writing down that something to notice about the way Earl Thomas carries himself is really respectable. And what I mean by that is Earl wanted his money. He held out. He didn't come. But he showed up when game time happened. When he finally showed up, he was asked why. He said it was for his team, and he came out and he played. Now, this week he missed some practices. When he was asked, he said, because as long as this contract issue's going on, if I think my body isn't ready, I'm not risking it. But I'll be here to play. We've got players like Lev Bell that don't do that. We've got players that don't do that, and I think that what Earl Thomas is doing, even if somebody will disagree with it, is respectable because he's willing to go out there and play for his team, even if him and the coaches are at odds, even if him and the staff are at odds and ownership or whatnot. And the fact that he's willing to still go out there and play, and he said, hey, I'm doing this for my team. I respect that. I don't want to see him go, but I think that shows us something because there's guys like Lev Bell that are now on the trade docket. If anybody hasn't heard, breaking news this morning. He's on the trade docket, and Steelers are fielding trade offers because he won't come to play at all. And I respect Earl Thomas for that. I respect that he came back he suited up and he started playing for his team, regardless what he was going through with his, ownership.
Yeah, I mean exactly like what you're saying. If I was a GM, I'm not gonna keep or pay anyone who's gonna act like that. You're proving your priorities, and if your priority is not to your teammates and to the guys that you go to battle with, then I don't want you. You're a cancer in my locker room. I don't want you there.
And that's really what it is, though. So let's go ahead.
Before we move on, I'm glad you started talking about it because there's also talk about Cowboys coaches asking Earl if he's ready for the trade on Monday.
So I did read that. Earl responded to that saying that he was wondering if it was a psychological thing that they were trying to do to him because it was in the pregame. It wasn't Garrett that did it. He said Garrett did some small talk like, "What up, man? What's up? Hey, how you doing?" The other coaches did.
Jason Garrett's not that kind of guy. He's not the kind of guy who's going to come out and talk trash to you.
Well, yeah, and I agree that maybe Earl was on to something. Maybe it was that psychological game. Like, hey, I'll see you on Monday. Like, what the hell? I'm about to play these guys in this game. Like, maybe it was psychological. Maybe there is something in the works. Maybe Seattle said, hey, we're not going to move him until after we play them because I don't want to go against them. Maybe that was the very first thing that came to their mind. And they probably said, and maybe he'll even look good and add value to him. So, right now, if Jerry's willing to give up a 1, they might budge. But they're not budging on a 2. All the sources that I've read said the Cowboys need to come hard. It's not likely that Seattle wants to move from him. The way he's playing this season is amazing. He's got 3 interceptions already in the first 3 games. He's making quick plays, quick tackles. He's everywhere on the field. Bobby Wagner's back. Shaquille Griffin looks good. The defense looks good. Mingo had a sack today as much as Paul hates him. I mean, the team looks good. The team looks good on defense. So if they want Earl, they're going to have to come, and they're going to have to come high. And it's been a long night, man. It's past midnight here in Texas. I know in Arizona it's only like 10. It's been a long day of football, a long day of driving around Dallas and taking care of business and whatnot. But let's go ahead and get into the final game of the week. And this game's not really that fun of a game. Not for me. It was fun for those watching it. I don't like either of these teams. They make me upset because one beat me a couple weeks ago or a week ago. And then the other one I just don't like because they're in my division. So the Bears faced off against the Cardinals. The Cardinals had a chance to win it. They had the rookie in there, Rosen. And they were unable to cap it off, so the Bears won 16-14. I know that you actually watched this game, so why don't you give us a little bit of a breakdown of how things went?
Oh, okay. The Cardinals came out playing. They came ready to go. They took a quick 14-0 lead and then didn't score another point for the rest of the game. Bradford threw 2 picks, and then when he fumbled the ball late in the game, and Steve Wilks puts Rosen in, and they asked him, after the game when he was asked why, he said he felt like the offense needed some energy. It needed a boost. And to me, all that means is Steve Wilks watched the Browns on Thursday night. He watched Baker Mayfield come in and light it up, and he said, our rookie can do this. Our rookie is the guy. Everyone said he was the guy ready to go. But I feel like there's a reason that Josh Rosen dropped to 7, and that's why he is in Arizona right now and why he hasn't played yet, even though they raved about him in the preseason and they bring him in now like he's going to go get the win. But
he looked homeless on the sideline. Like, is that
he threw a pick too.
Look? I'm saying just his look, like his demeanor, like the way he just carries himself. I mean, he doesn't look very, like, I don't know.
Quarterback-eel.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a quarterback. Like, he doesn't look like Goff, who belongs in L.A. Like, right. Goff belongs in L.A. We're going to see him in a movie. Remember the Titans 2 or something. Like.
No, Rosen, I agree. He kind of looks like he's always brooding. Like, he's always like,
People can't see you, Paul.
But they got from the noise what I was doing.
Really? They got from. Hold on, I'm going to close my eyes. No, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like.
No, I'm just saying, like, but he just looks kind of sad and like he's in his feelings. He always kind of looks like that, and maybe he is. He was talking about he wants to prove these teams that passed on him wrong, and he is excited to do that. He said there's 6 teams or what, or he dropped past 7, didn't he? He dropped to 10. Either way, my point is, I don't know that he's as good as people said he is, and he didn't look good in his little debut where he was supposed to bring energy and life to the offense. He went 4 of 7, threw a pick, and almost threw another pick. So, I don't know. I think the Cardinals are getting close to being forked, though.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I would. They don't look that good. They had their little hot start. Obviously, that's going to happen. They were at home. Was this their home opener?
No.
That might have been a reason why. This wasn't their home opener. Regardless, they were home, though. So, I mean, that happens. But so that's the end of the Sunday games. We've got one good game coming up tomorrow. I can't wait for this game. I'm extremely excited about it. I can't wait to watch it.
Tampa Bay's taking this.
I think that, Tampa Bay's going to spank some Pittsburgh booty. But the reason I believe that is because I think Pittsburgh's got some things going on, and I'm actually hoping this is their wake-up. I hope this is their jump start. I mean, they should have been the last couple weeks, but oh well. Hope it happens finally. And yeah, I just can't wait to see Fitzmagic, show me what that Harvard degree does. So, but that's about that. So we will be back Wednesday. We do have some important news for you guys. It was coming tonight, but it's actually going to be pushed back till Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. I don't want to release it without speaking to everybody involved in the situation. So we do have some news. Other than that, you got anything else, Paul?
No, I think that's about it.
I mean, other than the Browns not being a good football team, and most likely Baker Mayfield being a bust.
One.
I'm speaking for Paul here, so guys, just
is 1-1-1. Is it better or worse than 1-2?
It depends on your perspective.
Say it. No. If the season ended right now,
that'd be a stupid season.
Who would be ahead?
That'd be a stupid season, though.
Right, but the Browns would be ahead, right?
I mean, yeah.
The Browns would. Yeah, exactly.
But
so they are ahead.
Would you be going to the playoffs?
No, I think we're 8th place in the AFC right now.
And didn't you earlier say that anything short of a Super Bowl is a bust? So you're a loser. All right. Thank you guys for joining.
You're talking about having a 16-0 season. No, but either way, let's get out of here. Let's come back on Wednesday.
All right, guys. This is Mike Pagano. That's Paul Helmers. We'll see you guys back here on Wednesday morning. This is MVP News. Have a great night.